Hello, Law Geeks. Welcome to Credence Law Learning. This video is being presented by Credence Law Learning for the educational purpose. Today, we are going to discuss the case studies from the Law of Torts, that is from the question number 9. So, the question here is there was a clock tower which is being situated in the Magadha city where it was under the control of the municipal corporation. One fine day, what happened? It collapsed, which resulted in the death of 25 people. Now the question is, can the people, the legal representatives of the people who died can file a suit against the municipal corporation. Now the question is, the municipal corporation is going to be held responsible or not? Yes, municipal corporation is going to be held responsible because municipal corporation had a duty to take care here, which they did not take care of. They did omission. That is, they did not take care of the clock tower, which they were supposed to do. So, considering their mistake of not taking care of the clock tower, which resulted in the death of the 25 people in and around that city, the nearby people who were walking around, they died. 25 people died. Yes, municipal corporation is going to be held responsible for its omission. Here, the case which is attracting is Municipal Corporation of Delhi versus Subhangamati. Legal duty to take care, which they did not take care of. There is a omission to take care on the part of the municipal corporation. On that principle, municipal corporation is going to be responsible, going to be liable for the wrong. First, for this kind of questions, first you are going to write facts of the case, issues raised, and if you have any similar case given to the question, and the details of the concept you can mention. Here you can mention about elements to the tort. Elements to the tort, there must be a duty to take care. Here, there where the municipal corporation did not take care of. So you correlate the concept with the concept, that is the elements to the tort, and then give the decision and the reasoning. Facts of the case, issues raised, similar to the case of, and then you're going to give the decision and reason for the decision. This is the first case. Second case we have here is there was a defendant who left a horse van in a crowded area, and a boy tree was torn where the horses started running and they injured the women and the child. So what the police officers did, police officers just went and rescued the women and the child. Then police officer asked for the compensation. Then the van owner, they said, we are not going to be responsible. We did not ask you to rescue. We did not ask you to do, to save the women and the child. The court says here, there is a concept called voluntary non-fit injuria. When you give consent to some act, later you cannot blame the consequences. So here, rescue case is an exception to the voluntary non-fit injuria. The same case, the similar case we have is Hines versus Harwood case, exception to the voluntary non-fit injuria. So the court said when it comes to rescue cases, such as the police officer acted in a rescue case, police officer is to get the compensation. Though there was no consent prior to the commission, prior to saving the women and the child. The court said here, rescue cases are exception to voluntary non-fit injuria. So the even question is attracting the case of Hines versus Harwood. So considering the exception to voluntary non-fit injuria, rescue case, and similar cases, Hines versus Harwood, first you would be giving the facts of the case, issues raised, similar to the case of, and then decision and reasoning. Okay, this is the second case. Then we have third case. In the third case, what happens? There was X was a manufacturer of a beer, and X consumed the beer, and later suffered due to suffered a mental disorder. Actually, it was a mental disorder due to the content beer had certain and I'll tell you this case. Actually, the given case is similar to the case of Donogo versus Stevenson, where the privity of contract was not applied. Privity of contract is only the party to the contract can file a suit. But this privity of contract was not applied to this Donogo versus Stevenson. In Donogo versus Stevenson, what happened? Two friends will go to a restaurant. There they order ginger beer. They order ginger beer. When the lady was pouring the ginger beer in the glass, she witnessed a snail. The moment she saw the snail, she was mentally affected. Now, the other friend filed a suit for negligence. Then the manufacturer said, I cannot be, questioned. Why? Because there was no direct contact. But the court says, here, under this kind of cases, in the negligence, privity of contract will not be applied. So this is a concept of negligence, similar to the case of Donogo versus Stevenson. The manufacturer breached the duty to take care. Yes, the Y can file a suit against X where the manufacturer X did not take care of the, take care of making sure that they don't use contaminated products, right? So this is the third case. So then comes, okay, it's just a quick information about the classes available. If you're looking for handwritten notes, classes, and guidance, you can contact to the number given. And then the next case study we have is here A and B are neighbors. A constructed a well in his land. Due to the construction of a well, B's well got dried. So the question is, can a B file a suit against A? Yes. Here, actually, the thing is, we are going to apply the doctrine of damnum sine injuria. No, B cannot file a suit against A. Reason being that B was utilizing the land in a lawful manner. He did not use it in a unlawful way. There, it was the property of A. Property used it in a lawful manner, which resulted in the kind of damage to the B. But still, what the principle which applies here is damnum sine injuria, damage without legal injury. Damage without legal injury is not actionable in nature. So considering that fact, damnum sine injuria not actionable. So similar cases we have Cheshmore versus Rickard and Bradford Corporation versus Pickles case. So these are the similar cases we have. So by considering the principle of damnum sine injuria, where there is a damage without legal injury, it is not actionable in nature. And then the next case is there was a patient died due to the negligence of a doctor. Especially here it's about the government hospital. The government doctors, they said that it was a free of cost. The treatment is free of cost. The compensation cannot be given. The question here was there was a patient who died due to the negligent treatment of the doctor, government hospital doctors. The legal representatives filed a suit against the government hospital, and the government hospital people pleaded saying that we rendered the service free of cost, and we are not to be covered under purview of the Consumer Protection Act. But the court said no, it's a medical negligence. Under the medical negligence, doctor is to be liable under the Consumer Protection Act. There was one famous case we have pertaining to the medical negligence. That's a case of Anuradha Saha versus Anuradha Saha case. It's a famous case where we come across this concept of medical negligence, right? And then we have a case X, a seller of a tin containing disinfectant powder, knowing it to be knowing it to be a dangerous powder, without any proper special care, sold it to Y. Y, without the knowledge, opened the same and which resulted in the bursting of the it had just bursted out. The container bursted out. Now the question is, can the seller be liable? See, there's a concept called caveat emptor. We do agree to that point. You as a buyer, beware of what you are buying. It's you who have to be careful while buying. You cannot blame the seller. But to this caveat emptor, there is an exception where there is a warranty. There was a responsibility of the seller to disclose the dangerous nature of the good under the warranty. Yes, here the seller is to be responsible for not warning why about the dangers, and that is they breached the warranty of disclosure. This is the one case study. And the other case study we do have here is Raghu and Sharma. There's a case Raghu and Sharma. Sharma's dogs were fighting. Sharma was beating them in order to separate the dogs. Later, what happened? By mistake, the stick was, it just accidentally hit the other party. Now the question is, can Raghu get the compensation? Here, this concept covers under a general exceptions called uh, inevitable accident. Inevitable accident is general exception, unexpected event, general exceptions. So Sharma defendant was not liable to pay the compensation because it is covering under general exception called inevitable accident. Something where something where inevitable accident. When it comes to inevitable accident, there must be an act done by the defendant where it caused injury to the other party, but unforeseeable. Had no knowledge of the thing that this particular event would cause the damage to the other party. Shar- Sharma was not under the impression that separating the dogs would cause, damage, injury to the Raghu. Sharma had no knowledge of that. So it's inevitable accident. As a prudent man, you couldn't have been anticipated this particular event could take place, right? So considering that fact of inevitable accident, general exception, Sharma was not liable to pay the compensation. And then we have the next case, a boy of 7 years old ate some attractive berries from a tree in a municipal park, which was poisonous in nature. And the boy, and later the court said, the question is whether this act of municipality, where the boy died. So the question is whether municipality is going to be responsible. Yes, municipality is going to be responsible. It is attracting the thought of negligence, where the municipality had a duty to take care, which they did not take care of, which they breached. And here, this particular case is similar to the case of Glasgow Corporation versus Taylor case of 1922. Being aware of the danger which could be caused because of the poisonous berries, the municipality did not warn the people who would come to the park. So, which resulted in the death of the boy. And the court said, yes, municipality is responsible because of the negligent act. Then the last case I've taken up in this slide in this part one is, in a cricket match, Dhoni hits a sixer, which injures a spectator. Is he liable? No. See here, once you buy a ticket to watch a event, maybe you want to watch a cricket, maybe you want to watch a racing club, like racing of the car. It the moment you purchase the ticket, it is impolitely understandable that you are giving a consent. So here, since this is covering under the voluntary non-fit injuria, where the impolite consent is given the moment we purchase the ticket, it's like we give the implied consent. And this particular case is also attracting the case of Hall versus Brooklyn Auto Racing Club. So defendant was not responsible because plaintiff had impolitely consented to the wrong which could take place when he is acting as a spectator while he is watching the cricket match. So this is all about the few case studies I've taken up from the past year's papers. And one thing that I just want to bring to your notice, coming to the law of torts, make sure you justify your answer at least with 5 to 8 case studies. Target 8 so that you can end up writing 5 case studies. Without case studies, you cannot expect to pass the tax paper, tort paper. So make sure you get well versed with the case studies in each concept. And this is all about the case studies, part 1. If you have any queries, you can contact to our team. See you all in the next video. All the best for your exam.